Hey guys, per usual, everything on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. We've got a lot of charts today. Usually that means I don't know what's going on with the market the more charts I have, but most of them are just like rehashing from the last video, following up on that, and a few exchange comparisons. So let's get going here. So what we're looking at on this, a lot of lines I know, but it's the OKCoin quarterly futures rollover approximate dates. These dates aren't exact. This is the weekly chart, so just be kind with the dates here. Basically, I've followed this for the past few quarters, trying to find if there's any sort of correlation. The biggest correlation I can sort of see is that the opening or closing of the quarter kind of establishes a local high or low for the rest of the quarter. There's really nothing more I can say beyond that, and even that is a little bit of a stretch. But because we're coming up to those dates between 12/16 and 12/30, where the quarterly becomes bi-weekly and weekly, and then a new quarterly comes in, we're sort of in that zone of decision week time, what I like to call it. So there's something to pay attention to. If you ascribe to the belief that OKCoin futures generally drive all of Bitcoin markets, which I do, you may want to pay attention to the futures. If you don't care, that's fine. But I think it's worth at least looking at, especially now when we're sort of in this time zone of that rollover period. And then I want to talk about futures premiums briefly. So green is weekly futures minus spot. Blue is quarterly futures minus spot. The white line is just the China premium, so China minus the West. And basically all this is really telling me right now is all the premiums are decreasing. Generally you'll see the quarterly premium decrease to almost zero as quarterly expiration inches closer and closer, and 12/16 is when quarterly rolls over to bi-weekly. So that is part of the reason here. And then the gray is just the GBTC divided by 10 premium. It's kind of odd that China minus West premium is larger than weekly. I don't really see any correlation with that other than just pay attention to what might happen after the fact. That's really the only notable thing, other than all the premiums are decreasing steadily. Okay, so to weekly charts here. Candles look fine. I don't see anything bearish. Again, we're above the cloud. Our bias remains bullish. You're going to make more money long than short. That's what the cloud is telling me. And again, 465 is there eventually, sometime next year or the year after, who knows. We're going to go through some div charts here. So I drew out the div lines for 4 exchanges. Stamp didn't make a higher high based on the candle bodies, so on the close of the weekly candles. Because RSI is calculated on closes of the candles, you should really be drawing the divs based on the closes of the candles. So not bearish, but not bullish either. This Stoke cross certainly isn't bullish. It hasn't closed yet, so this could certainly turn around. But of all the things I'm going to show you on this video, the divs are the most concerning for the bulls. This is China, pretty clear bear div in China with a Stoke cross. So together that's pretty bearish. Weekly futures, again, a slight div based on price. RSI definitely, and then Stoke cross again. And then quarterly futures, surprisingly no div. Not really sure why that is, but futures prices in general tend to be spiky. And then again, Stoke on the weekly, bearish. So if we jump back to daily stamp, again, cloud above, price above the cloud, your bias is bullish. You're going to make more money long than short. So what the cloud is telling you. Lagging span isn't even anywhere close to price. So like we had lagging span into price here, this is sort of the slowdown decision mode. Again, it feels more bearish than it is, I think. I certainly feel super bearish. I'm not in any trades right now. I got stopped out around 762 on that last dump. I'm marking this because it's the Kijun, and anytime we're super far away, you want to pay attention to that because, again, Kijun bounce makes you money, just like here. You know, we were all the way up here, and we tap the Kijun. So it's never a bad idea to place bids on the Kijun and just forget about them, because you never know. Especially when we're this far apart here. We have a bit of a TK disequilibrium, which generally says that we're due for a pullback. Whether or not we get one, I don't know. And if we look at China, China actually hasn't touched the Kijun this entire rally, which is pretty interesting. So again, 4800 zone, 400 CNY down, which sounds pretty dramatic, but that's what the Kijun is telling you. And again, Kijun is just sort of the mean of price. It's the 50% fib of this move, basically. You've seen this before, cup and handle. I'm still a believer in the cup and handle. This price target hasn't changed. Everything remains the same. One thing I'm sort of talking about now is the volume. Just mental gymnastics probably, but I don't really see a clean break of volume above this resistance diag. So that tells me it's okay what's going on right now, just because we didn't have a huge volume spike and didn't go nowhere. We just haven't had a volume spike and gone nowhere. So that sort of is congruent with what should happen, I think. There's all sorts of other reasons why we haven't had volume, having blah blah blah, pick your poison. But I'm still expecting, you know, volume to at least approach the Bitfinex dump levels, at the very least. This is busy and it's daily stamp with EMAs and Cloud and Pitchfork. What I'm trying to show here again, the bull trend looks to be in no state of reversal. We're in this zone, this diag zone on the Pitchfork. We have support at the 50 and the Kijun around 720 on stamp. If we break this, the 200, we're in some deep trouble for the trend, but it took an exchange being hacked for that to happen last time. And the fact that the Pitchfork, the Cloud, and the 200 are all right there, if that breaks cleanly, I think it's safe to say the bull trend is over. I don't see that happening, however. Just something to pay attention to, I guess. So again, tons of support, this whole zone. You got Cloud, Kijun 50, you got the diag. So anything between 670 and 750 is probably a really good buy zone, just based on these random lines. If we move down to 4-hour stamp, again, Pitchfork, Cloud. This yellow line is actually an all-time high diag, so let me just pull it up here. So you make a diag from this wick to this wick. That's what that yellow line is. And basically I'm just trying to convince myself that these lines matter in some way by showing that price has support or resistance at these zones. So all these arrows are just myself convincing myself that these zones matter. Again, the diag of the Pitchfork matters. Look at all the touches of that zone. The Cloud is acting as support here, which is great. That's what you want to see. Again, Cloud support here, Cloud support here. All of this is Cloud support. This all-time high diag, resistance, 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 turns support, and again, support, support, support. This was my justification for going long down here at 726, which paid off. And I really don't feel comfortable being back in a trade until we get a recross on the 4-hour. It may or may not happen. But if we can get some sort of setup like this again, where we had just like a whole day basically in the Cloud and just stood there, and then we got the recross, something like that up here would be great. This is also a very similar situation. We just sat in the Cloud sideways up, basically, just consolidating, I guess you could say. And again, we had recross. So if you're following the trade that I was making on one broker, which uses Bitstamp, on Twitter I was talking about 1 week futures 15-minute chart, and some people were like, you know, what's going on here? Why do you care about futures on such a low time frame? So my argument was that the signals are better on lower time frames on a busier market with more volume or more sway over the general market as a whole. So again, recross, we did not get a recross on that. So that was a strong signal, even though it was only on the 15-minute chart. Strong signal not to relong here, which I talked about in the last video, that if we had recrossed the TK lines, that would be a long re-entry signal. So again, the cloud bails you out here if you were trying to go long and you were paying attention to this time frame in this exchange. And then currently I'm looking at some sort of inverted head and shoulders setup. You can see we had some cloud rejection as far as resistance, which is good. Again, it tells me the cloud's doing what it should be doing. It's telling you where the resistance is and, you know, not to go long. Arguably, there's a edge-to-edge trade here if we do inevitably close in the cloud, even though we had some closes in the cloud here. So again, edge-to-edge, flat Kumo, 760-ish to 772, something like that. The volume profile is roughly there for the inverted head and shoulders. Kind of got invalidated, I think, just because we went another dip down, but generally futures does all sorts of crazy stuff to run people's stops, so who knows. And again, the green is just support. You can see this was clearly resistance based on the wicks up here, so the idea is it should now be support, or at least we should test it as support. And then lastly, if you measure out the inverted head and shoulders, you get around a 788 target, which is right back to all this sideways resistance wiki stuff. And then lastly, I've been playing around a lot with low time frame pitchforks on Forex. Again, low time frames aren't always the devil if you just take in a lot of the time itself. So this is, you know, a few days, I think. Yeah. So the second to now. So 4 days of 15-minute candles, you know, so you're looking inside the 4-hour candles or the 1-hour candles or whatever. You're just zooming out. You're zooming out while zooming in, let's say it like that. So this wick might be crazy and nasty, yeah, but you know, you can still make some pitchforks off of it. So again, your entry could be clean break of this diag to this diag. So as people are sort of selling here, you're buying, and then as sort of people are buying here, you're selling. That's kind of how the pitchfork system works. Per usual, like, dislike, comment, subscribe, share, hit me up on Twitter, Telegram. If you have any charts or anything that I'm not seeing, if you think I'm crazy with the whole futures quarterly stuff, let me know. If you see any patterns or anything, any other pareidolia to share, hit me up in the comments. Thanks. Happy trading.